Sarah, is this not something that U.S. negotiators might have expected? After all, regulators around the world have put a stop to these planes flying, as have airlines, U.S. airlines and others.
Yes, even still, though, it would throw a wrench in the talks, I think. One of the issues that the U.S. and China have been able to sort of agree upon broadly in these talks so far have been China increasing its purchases of U.S. goods. That hasn't been a really big sore point. You know, China has readily agreed to buy more soybeans. Planes has been on the list. And of course, planes are such an expensive product that it's an easy way to sort of ease that trade deficit with the U.S. So I think this will, this just kind of opens up a new area for the U.S. and China now to try and make an agreement upon. And of course, our reporting shows that China is considering perhaps canceling plans for those purchases, but it also may just agree to buy different types of Boeing aircraft.
Sarah, can I draw a line, maybe even a dotted line, maybe just a dotted line, between the fact that China was the first to ground the MAX, and now potentially it may be pulling them out of the trade negotiation? Is that a bit Machiavellian?
No one, I think, has officially said that that might be the case. But, you know, in these negotiations, they're so high stakes that you'd think that you'd use every lever at your grip to try and really get an edge in these talks. Of course, China has its own plans to develop planes and develop models that are similar to challenge Airbus and Boeing. And I think there's a lot of talk about, China looking for a way maybe to sort of realize those ambitions, while at the same time, the reality is that these two companies are really the only ones in the business right now making these types of aircrafts. So, I think China might just be trying to also buy some time and gain a little bit of leverage in the talks right now.
How much can the U.S. speak for a company? How much can the U.S. promise on behalf of Boeing or another company, for that matter? I mean, China Southern has 16 of the aircraft, another 34 on order. Other Chinese airlines have bought them as well, including Air China with 14. Can the U.S. talk about individual U.S. companies and promise something, Sarah? After all, China's individual companies are the ones on the line for this.
Absolutely. These, as much as, one of the concerns, I guess, that, some U.S. experts and observers have had is, how can the U.S. promise to increase these purchases? First of all, do the companies, do the farmers who grow soybeans, for instance, do they have the capacity to ramp up their production to the point that the U.S. is promising? It's trying to get China to increase purchases of a bunch of types of goods to 1.2 trillion over 6 years. Will those companies and production in the U.S. be able to ramp up? And of course, the U.S. can't promise that its own companies are going to sell to China. And so I think that's one of the bridges that needs to be crossed in these talks as well.
Sarah, if other countries decide that they're going to withdraw from purchasing the 737 MAX, do you think that the administration is going to have an issue with that?
A lot of the talk, since this latest accident with Ethiopian Airlines with the Boeing plane is sort of the relationship between big companies and government. And so I think, we'll see a lot more discussion about that and where that's headed.